for mounting the case coil. As you can see, I've highlighted the areas there that are of concern in regards to plastic drain pans. Minimum of 2-inch distance from the top of the furnace to the bottom of the coil pan. If you're using a case coil, you'll automatically have that distance. But if you're using an uncased coil, they don't want you setting it right on top of the heat exchanger. A couple other things. Goodman keeps moving around the inlet fitting. They used to be screwed to the front of the coil. Now they're in the instruction bag. So I think that's an attempt to get you to open the instruction bag, but most people just tear the corner out, pull the fitting out, and move on. The other question that comes up a lot is the coil doesn't fit on the furnace. And that's true. If you just take the coil out of the box, put it on the furnace, B-width coil on a B-width furnace, it doesn't fit. So what a lot of folks will do is take their handbrakes and fold these flanges down and make it work. And that works, but what Goodman does is on a B-width coil, for example, they'll put these A-width adapters. And these come with the coil already installed. So I could take this B-width coil and it'd be right at 14 inches to set it on the A-width furnace, and it would slide right on there. Some of our AHRI matchups require a wider coil than what our furnace is, so they put that in there. You can remove that just with these. Take those out, just loosen these. And now your coil fits. Much better. Put a couple screws in the side and you're good to go. The other issue that has come up a couple times this year, we've gotten some questions about it. A few people have had a couple minor issues, is the orientation of the coil. You'll notice on that second line that I highlighted there, the line set connections for the coil must face the front of the furnace. There's a couple reasons for that. When you look at the bottom of the case coil, plastic drain pan, we have this like 2.5-inch wide area of drain pan here where we collect condensate for assembles to go out the drain. That is designed to be over the vestibule or the top plate of the furnace. If I switch this around, let's say I'm in a mechanical room and my line set comes in the back, I'm like, oh, I'll just switch the coil around, right? That way my lines face the back. It'll fit on the furnace, everything will work, but you'll end up with about an extra 2 inches of restricted area in the back here, which isn't terrible. I mean, if your static's iffy in the first place, it might put you over the edge, but it's not the end of the world. But what that does is it lines up this plastic with the U-bends right on the heat exchanger. So in the heating mode, it'll work great in the cooling mode. In the heating mode, when the unit shuts off and you get all the radiant heat out of these tubes, you have that right along that plastic and it'll melt that plastic drain pan. Not so much an issue on the 40,000 or the 60,000 BTU furnace, but on the 80 and the 100s, it's almost a guaranteed melted pan sooner or later. So, keep that in mind if you guys have questions. The other issue that comes up is when you reverse this, we have a heat exchanger in the gas furnace that's trying to drain that direction, and we have a coil evaporator that's trying to drain this direction. So having those level is critical. We ideally want a little bit of forward slope on the furnace. We want a little bit of back slope on the coil, and it's hard to do that when they're going opposite directions. Unless you want to go out every fall and shim the unit forward, go back in the spring, shim the unit backwards. So, yeah,